We start with the war in Iran tonight. President Trump saying that Iran broke the ceasefire agreement after firing on boats in the Strait on Saturday. And today confirming that a U.S. Navy destroyer seized an Iranian cargo ship, one that was trying to bypass the American blockade in the Strait of Hormuz.
Motor vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
The blockade began last week, and this is the first vessel overtaken. Iran tonight vowing a swift response, and concerns mounting tonight with the current two-week ceasefire slated to end in just days. Time is of the essence. There are hopes Washington and Tehran can reach an 11th-hour deal or at least extend the ceasefire. VP Vance is planning to lead an American delegation for round 2 of talks in Pakistan tomorrow, but Iran has not confirmed it will even participate. So where do things stand tonight? Well, News Nation's Robert Sherman getting a pulse on the situation from Tel Aviv. Robert.
Well, the tension has been ratcheted up a notch here this evening, with the president announcing that the U.S. Navy has seized an Iranian flagged ship. This is the statement he put out, saying the Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Tuska is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board. The president has vowed to keep the U.S. naval blockade in place, especially after Iran announced that the Strait of Hormuz is closed once again. And now the U.S. Navy has made good on its threat to start seizing and boarding Iranian-linked vessels. Meanwhile, you have the Strait of Hormuz at a largely gridlock position here this evening, with the way that you have seen the Strait of Hormuz closed again by Iran and at least 2 ships attacked, according to the British Maritime Trade Operations Center. Those threats have kept many of those ships from hazarding the transit through the Strait of Hormuz. But diplomacy is making another push, with the Prime Minister of Pakistan speaking with Iran's president this evening, and a U.S. delegation headed up by J.D. Vance, the vice president, expected to head to the region ahead of Wednesday's ceasefire deadline. Natasha.
Robert Sherman in Tel Aviv. And back in the nation's capital, the White House preparing to send a team overseas for round 2 of negotiations. Iran so far not committing to any more talks. News Nation's Gabrielle Caracciolo is live in Washington with the details. Gabrielle.
The Trump administration says round 2 of talks with Iran will take place tomorrow in Pakistan. Vice President J.D. Vance will again lead the delegation alongside Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, but Iran has not publicly committed to coming back to the negotiating table, instead demanding the U.S. lift its naval blockade. With just days left until the ceasefire is set to expire, the president again threatening civilian infrastructure in Iran if they don't make a deal. Writing on social media, we're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. It remains unclear if the sides are getting any closer to agreeing on unresolved issues like Iran's nuclear enrichment program. On Meet the Press, UN Ambassador Mike Waltz saying what happens next is really up to Iran.
The vice president, the president, the entire team is decisively engaged on this, and he put a very reasonable offer on the table. We'll see what the Iranians decide to do. They can choose to be a responsible member of the international community, or they can continue to be a rogue regime that massacres its own people and seeks to hold the world hostage with a nuclear weapon.
And the question remains, will Iran come to the table to negotiate with the U.S. ahead of this ceasefire expiring this week? The White House maintains that a U.S. delegation will be in Pakistan for talks tomorrow.
And Gabrielle, what is the administration saying about the next steps here if an agreement is not reached before the ceasefire expires?
Well, this weekend's activity in the Strait of Hormuz, from Iran firing at ships Saturday to the U.S. seizing an Iranian ship Sunday, could certainly complicate any talks. But President Trump has maintained that he expects negotiations to go well and says that many points have already been agreed to. Here's what he said late Friday night when News Nation asked if he would extend the ceasefire if there's no deal.
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I won't extend it. But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately, we'll have to start dropping bombs again.
The red line items from the Trump administration remain the same. They want Iran to agree to ending all uranium enrichment and a removal of already enriched uranium. Last weekend, after 21 hours of negotiations, no deal was reached because the administration says Iran was unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions.
Gabrielle Caracciolo in Washington with that. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.